I've been eating since like 10 a.m. So I grabbed food.
All right, we're live on YouTube, so it looks like we got a couple minutes here yet. So. All right. By my phone, it's 6. So go ahead and get started whenever you're ready, Al.
Call the meeting to order with a roll call. Got that done. Approval of the agenda.
So move.
Oh, second.
Moved by Molly, seconded by Greg. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. Approval of minutes of previous meeting.
Those should have been attached, and then they're from what Jennifer sent out last end of our last meeting. Everything looked good on my end, so.
Yeah, it looked good for me too. So
Okay, I make a motion to approve them.
I'll second.
moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Review of financial information.
All right. Well, I sent monthly financial stuff off to you guys earlier. I don't know if you had a chance to look at things yet. We're getting down to the end of fiscal year 2019-2020. You can kind of see what we have remaining in our as far as the general fund goes. And there's some of that, you know, what I'll do here over this next month is I'll kind of break all that down and then give us a good idea of kind of what we're going to have left for the month of May, or for the month of June, sorry. And then kind of do like we typically have. And if there's going to be money left over and things like that, then at that point we, you know, with everything going on, I would hope the supervisors would maybe make an exception and let us carry some of that over, especially to get this Grants Woods restroom facility off the ground. I have been trying to get in touch with Huff Cut and CXT to try to figure out some payment options to see where they're at, even at on manufacturing right now. And I've gotten very limited information back from them. So we'll just kind of have to, I'm going to keep bugging them, and hopefully they can get back to me here in the next few weeks. So maybe we can at least get half of that paid for out of this budget, and then maybe half out of the next budget. So, and then I'll go ahead and go through the monthly bills, just kind of note a few things too. I can pull this stuff up on my screen too, if you guys.
Oh, that'd be good.
Makes it a little easier for you. Grab it here. Well, bear with me. Sorry. Got to find it. Wow. Maybe. There we go. There we go. Can you all see it?
Oh,
Yep.
yep, good.
Okay. All right. So I'll just kind of go through a few of these items. Again, we had quite a few more. You'll see some names on here: Amanda Moore, Amy Chumbley, Carla Langfeld. A lot of those are cabin and shelter refunds due to COVID-19. We've got everybody refunded through the 15th. We've had a handful too that have called about later dates as far as cancellations and rescheduling, which we've been able to reschedule quite a few, which is good. So at least we get to hold on to some of that revenue. But there are still some folks that are worried, especially shelter rentals with the limit on groups of people, numbers of people within groups. So they're like I said, we've done some refunds, but we've done quite a few reservation changes as well. So we'll keep rolling here. Central Iowa Distributing, that's our paper cleaning supplies, toilet paper, paper towels, cleaning supplies. Typically I order that in the spring and then usually about halfway through the summer. There are some things in there we've had to order, and I've been keeping track of all this too. COVID-19 related. We've got some sanitizer and stuff for our carts, and we've, I guess we all kind of knew going into this that we may be able to get some help from FEMA later on, as long as we keep track of hours and items that we have to buy that are COVID-19 related. I don't know when or how that's all going to happen yet, but I've been trying to keep track of most of that stuff. So at least hopefully we can get reimbursed some of this for that. Let's see, keep going down here. Martin Oil Wholesale, that's our fuel for Swede Point, Don Williams. Again, a lot more refunds. Moffitt's about $1,077.03. Unfortunately, the truck that we're going to be trading and purchasing this next budget cycle broke down. We had some issues with it, so we had to get that fixed to the tune of about $1,000. But we got that all repaired, good to go. MTI, mower parts, Northern Lights Food Service. We had to get a new pump for the dishwasher up at the clubhouse. I just spoke with them today too, and apparently their tabletop cooker, their flat top iron that they use, apparently half of it is not working. So that may be something we have to purchase here too. Few other things. Ogden Municipal Utilities. So I don't know if you guys remember, about the same time last year, we had about 100,000 gallons of water come up missing. Well, it happened again this year. So we've been in contact with them to see if there's maybe something with the meter. Somebody potentially tapping into the line and stealing water. Because we did some calculations, Katie and I did, as far as how much it would take or how long it would take to steal that much water out of just our regular hydrants that we have. And you're talking many hours over many days. So we really don't think that that's happening, but we're really not sure what is happening. So we're going to try to get to the bottom of that. And it's, like I said, it's been beginning of typically, so the last billing cycle would have been April, and it's been the April billing cycle both times. So again, working with them to try to figure out what's going on with that. Star Energy FS, LP fill out at Don Williams and at Swede Point. And then Sun Graphics and Signs, we had some signage that we put together for our new rules and regulations that we're going to have to abide by for the campground opening on Wednesday. And I'll kind of show you guys what we did for that when I get to that. And then other than that, everything else is pretty much cut and dry. Typical monthly
What's this
bills.
Victory Christian Fellowship one? Is that a
That's
refund?
actually Roger Zimmer, our golf course superintendent. His church rented 3 cabins. They've been coming out the
Okay.
last couple of years and doing a camp out at Don
Okay.
Williams, and they rent the cabins. And unfortunately, they canceled that this year. So.
Sure.
Yep, that's cabin refund.
Okay.
Yep. No donations to any churches. I'd
Just
probably frown upon
checking.
that. Yep. And then at the bottom here, Reap Bait Shop. Sorry, I wasn't scrolling. Reap Bait Shop. We pretty much got that project wrapped up. We've got most of the materials and everything bought for it. Just working on finishing up the siding and soffit and stuff like that. So that project's just about done. So any questions on anything else?
Nope.
Looks good.
All right. I'll pop out of this one. All right. Well, I think we can move on then.
You need to
All
meet
right.
sometime.
Say that again.
Need to meet sometime this week to sign the bills, or
Yeah. As far as bills, we'll just do it like we did last time. I've already delivered them to the auditor's office. They'll have everything processed. I'll just have to meet with a couple of you tomorrow at some point. So whoever's available, that'd be great. We can get those signed.
I'm free, Tanner. This is Marilyn.
Okay. Marilyn, I saw Greg raise his hand.
Yeah, I got something. I'll be in town in the morning, but after that, I'll be home in the afternoon. I could run in, or you could come out this way on the way back to Don Williams if you wanted.
Yeah, whatever works. I'm pretty open to. I've got to be at the park first thing, and then I'll probably run back in and grab the bills from the auditor's office, and then once I do that, I'll get a hold of you and Marilyn, and then we can get those signed. So.
Okay, yeah, just tell me where to be and what time and I'll be there.
Okay, sounds good.
good enough. Cloverwoods update.
Do we need a motion to approve those bills first?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, we do.
I'll move.
Is
I'll
there a
second.
second?
Second.
Okay.
Molly and Greg, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bills are approved. Now the Cloverwoods update.
All right, not a ton to update with this. I was hoping I'd have a little bit more information. We've been meeting, Katie and I. She's actually the last meeting I wasn't able to attend, but we've been meeting via Zoom. Just kind of, again, trying to work out a vision statement or a mission statement for that property. So when folks ask, what's the plans, we have something kind of set in stone. Apparently the Natural Resource Commission through the DNR have not met yet about the property. So we really don't have much to do until they meet and approve everything. So again, just been working on the vision and mission statement. I did talk with Lisa Hine from INHF. We emailed back and forth. I think it would have been late last week, and just kind of let her know that we're still in communications with the DNR. Not really sure what's going to happen yet as far as us cooperating, partnering with them, but we are working on that right now. She said that they had an architect scheduled to meet out at the site to see if they couldn't salvage some of the buildings, and I haven't heard back on that yet. So but yeah, I'll just probably keep it on the agenda and keep you guys updated with what I know for the time being. So any questions on any of that?
Okay. Response and policy for COVID-19 virus situation.
All right. I will go ahead. I'm going to pull up a couple things here. So we got... over the last week and a half, again, from the emails that I've sent you guys, we've now are able to open campgrounds. We were as of Friday. We got together with our staff since we didn't find out until Wednesday evening. On my way home, I got an email from the DNR just stating that they were going to open. We talked with our staff on Thursday and decided it would probably be a better idea to go ahead and just postpone that until Wednesday, which sounds like it was probably a wise decision. Hold on here. I'll pull up our... Why is it doing this? Oh my goodness, get out of my screen. All right. So what I'm pulling up here is what I sent you all last week. And this is referring to our campground reopening and operation protocols. This was basically something that I had taken from Des Moines County, Chris Lee down there. They did open on last Friday, and he put some of this stuff together, kind of in no time. I think they only have a very small campground, but he's usually pretty on top of that stuff as far as getting, any of the protocols and stuff like that. So a lot of us kind of piggyback on what he has. Yeah, this is what we came up with. And for some reason, my computer is not scrolling. There we go. So, this is what we've coming up. This is what, like I said, in cooperation with what the DNR is doing, and then a lot of the other county conservation boards across the state, as far as what we need to do and what we need the public to know, what they need to do before they come camping. So as of right now, we're reopening on Wednesday, 5:30 a.m. when the park's open. First come, first served basis, which doesn't change much. No campers, with the exception of campground hosts, will be allowed to inhabit a site prior to that time. Campground use is restricted to self-contained campers only, and the little definition on that would be any camper that has a restroom inside. No tents or campers without onboard restroom facilities are allowed at this time. We understand that there's going to be a lot of people that probably have portable toilets, which is fine. We've talked this over with with Katie and Blaine, just as far as, obviously we're not going to go inspect every tent. We're going to try to limit our contact to the public as much as possible. They said they didn't have a problem with that. The biggest thing being is if these tent campers start showing up, or even people in campers that don't have restrooms and start leaving 5-gallon buckets with surprises for us, then that will all end. We'll just shut down tent camping. And then we will have to inspect campers for those self-contained units. Hopefully people are respectful and we don't have to deal with that, but I know we've found those around before. So we're just kind of hoping that we don't run into that problem and we won't have to worry about it. Guests will be encouraged to wear gloves, obviously utilize hand sanitizer and soap when using the dump station. Most of them already do. And we were recommended by the DNR and IACCB to post signage for that, which we've come up with just some kind of the campaign signs. Basically, it's on one of those signs that we'll stick at each of our dump stations, just to, again, let people know, hey, this is an area where a lot of people use. You're dealing with human waste. You should probably use this stuff. So we'll have that posted on Wednesday as well. Camper units must remain within designated sites. No group camping. A lot of folks have called and asked, hey, are you going to be shutting down every other site? How are you going to keep, people on their site? That's something we've kind of been in discussion with other county conservation boards. Most are just letting them camp. It's just going to be a matter of, if we pull up and we see there's a group bigger than 6, then we will have to, we'll have to split them up. And obviously we know families, sometimes there's more than 6 people at a family. So we'll just have to kind of keep an eye on that. And we know our rangers know most of our local folks and their families. So we'll be able to tell, at least the people that frequent the parks a lot, who's following the rules and who isn't. So, all playgrounds, restroom, and shower facilities will remain closed. Again, this is pretty constant throughout the state. And we're just going to keep those closed indefinitely until we get guidance on what we should be doing to clean those facilities, or our campground hosts should be doing to clean those facilities in between use. So we'll wait on that. Again, campsite occupancy restricted to 6 people. This is what the DNR is doing as well. So we're just kind of piggybacking on that. Guests are still expected to maintain proper social distancing, 6 feet at all times. What we've noticed, most folks that are out and about, at least in our parks, are abiding by this rule. We haven't had too many big groups that we've had to split up.
Did we lose Tanner?
Yeah, we lost
I don't
Tanner.
know.
Oh no.
He
That's
ran
not
away.
good.
Well, geez.
He's the meeting host too, so I don't really know how we keep going without him.
Hopefully he gets back on.
How's everyone doing?
Well, pretty good till a little
Pretty
bit ago.
Well, I get a glass of wine, but I'm too far from the refrigerator.
We can't see you. You probably have time to run over there.
Yeah.
I know.
We can't tell.
I don't know how. I'm afraid to touch it. I know you can't see me, but I'm afraid if I touch something, I'll be like Tanner. I'll go get lost. So I'm leaving it. I don't think you're missing much since you can't see me.
Yeah, me too.
Should we call him and tell him he's not on anymore?
Well, I was wondering how will this work? Everything comes from him, so are we gonna have to go off and go again and get on again, or?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, I'll just tell you while we're waiting for him. One of the things he mentioned on there was the wedding. A new item was the wedding facility venue that they're wanting to put up on 10. And I'm on the zoning board meeting, and the fellow from where is it, Glidden, or I don't know, somewhere over west, that's doing this. His last name is Barada. He has a couple of venues. There he is.
There he is. Hi.
Well,
He's gone.
my computer just crashed on me, so I'm on my phone.
Okay.
I'm not really sure what happened, but I hurried up and got on my phone, so I won't be able to do screen sharing anymore. So hopefully you guys have those materials or able to access them, and I'll just have to adjust here and kind of go from there. All right, so I believe, where did I die at? Where did things cut off at?
Well, somewhere in the middle of the camp policy for the COVID-19. It was like
Okay.
fourth.
I think
you're about on 7 or 8, somewhere in there.
Okay. Yep. Oh, yep. I think I was talking about guests as far as maintaining social distancing. Like I said, most people in our parks have been doing a pretty good job at that. I know Katie and Blaine have had to split up a couple bigger groups, but they've understood, and they've done their split. They've split up. So just hope people are still respecting that and being responsible. So self-registration must be completed within 30 minutes of arrival. This is a policy that we've had for I guess during my time here and for as long as I'm aware. And all of that is all done with our money drop box there at the registration building. So a lot of that, there's really no human contact with that anyway. Then what happens after the registration, our campground hosts, they'll be able to collect the envelopes, and then they go out and mark our posts, basically just showing who has paid and what date they've paid through. We've already had a couple talks with them, just letting them know, if there's people that aren't paying money that needs to be tracked down, we don't want them doing it. We'd just rather have Katie or Blaine take care of that. Number one, again, we don't want to put our campground hosts in a situation where they feel uncomfortable, because obviously they're not paid employees, they're not covered under our insurance, and things like that. So we want to make sure they feel comfortable doing what they can to help us out. So again, anytime anybody, if they're not paying, we're basically going to give them one warning. If they still don't pay after that, we're just going to ask them to leave. So again, hopefully most people are understandable, they're compliant and do what they're supposed to do, but we all know that there's always there's always one or two that don't listen and do what they're supposed to do. So let me see. So yeah, kind of going along, that would be part of number 9, the drop box deposits. Basically what we're going to do with those, once the campground host has collected them, check those campers in, then we'll take those, they'll go into, and they'll be wearing gloves. Any of our staff that comes into contact with anybody from the public, including campground hosts, are going to be wearing face masks. We have gloves available as well anytime anybody's handling money. Once we get it, then when we do our processing, we'll also be wearing gloves and masks to process that money as well. So also, like I said, I'm kind of jumping ahead. I made this list, so I guess there's a train of thought here, but again, all staff and volunteers shall wear face masks when interacting with the public regardless of social distancing capabilities. Campfires at individual sites limited to guests occupying those sites. So you're not supposed to go over to your buddy's campfire. You can stay at your campfire as long as you keep the occupancy with 6 people or under, and obviously family, with the exception of family. So right now we're not allowing any visitors in the campgrounds. Only those occupying sites are allowed. Again, this is going to be tough to enforce because we don't really know who's visiting and who's not. I talked with Katie and Blaine a little bit about that, and basically they said, well, a good way to find out who's visiting, who's not, is right about 10:30 when they start leaving. But that'll give them grounds to, we're not trying to pick on people or things like that, but we just want people to stay compliant so we don't have, a major outbreak of this thing, or, people just thinking they can run amok in our campgrounds. So that's basically what we've given them. Basically, if the above rules and regulations are not followed by guests, myself and you guys, hopefully, if you guys approve what we're doing here, have given authority to our park rangers to remove folks from the campground if they're not being compliant. So that's basically in a nutshell. And then there's another document that has, it's basically a signed campground rules and regulations due to COVID-19, that similar one. Basically, that's everything that I just outlined. It's just basically in sign form. So folks, we're going to post those at the entrance to Don Williams and Swede Point, and then as well as in the campgrounds themselves. So there should be no question as to what needs to be done by them, what is being done by us. So hopefully we can keep people doing what they're supposed to be doing and keep people safe. So any questions on that document? Comments?
So are all sites going to be allowed to be filled? So you're not having it, you're not having every other site or anything. It's just all sites are going to be allowed to be filled at this point in time.
Yep. Right now, we haven't really heard of any other restrictions on that. So we're gonna let it happen. We're gonna let it happen for the time being. Right now, we have Campground C closed anyway. We're finishing up. Electricians in there. I just talked to him this afternoon. He said they should be wrapped up in there by Friday, and then that'll give us enough time over the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, we'll have Campground C back open for Memorial Day. But we stated right in there, a lot of folks in Campground C, especially in the area that we haven't done the upgrades and put gravel pads down. A lot of folks still like to wagon wheel and group camp, but we've made that very clear on our signage that won't be allowed. For the time being, until further notice. So, and then the rest of our sites, we have gravel pads on all of those except for our actual designated group sites. And then for those sites, we're basically just going to take paint and mark off each site. So that way our staff knows where people are supposed to be. And that way they know where they're supposed to be as well.
Okay.
All right. So moving on, the next document that I had here this is more related to our staff and our campground hosts, volunteers, and things like that. And this is the BCCB COVID-19 precautions and procedures. This is some of the precautions that our staff is going to be taking. Staff, hosts, volunteers, to be sure, we're doing what we need to do to abide by the guidelines put out by the experts. And hopefully keep our staff and volunteers and hosts safe. So I'll just kind of run through that quick too. Recommending taking your temperature before coming to work every day. If it's elevated at all, stay home. If you have any symptoms or experiencing any illness at all, even if not symptomatic of COVID-19, stay home. We all have sick time to use, so that shouldn't be an issue. Try to maintain a distance of at least six feet between each other at all times. We realize this, at times is not possible, but as long as we can kind of try to keep that 6 foot distance, we will. Practicing good hygiene, wash hands, sanitize hands. I've got hand sanitizer basically in all of our vehicles, to put out in all of our facilities. That way folks are, making sure they're using that stuff too, especially when they're touching, a lot of stuff, picnic tables, fire rings, things that, a lot of people are coming into contact with. Any shared use facilities such as restrooms, break rooms should be wiped down and disinfected after every use. Again, I encourage our staff to do this. I'm not really expecting it because I know I'm really just trying to recommend and encourage folks after they get done just to, wipe things down. That way you're taking, the precaution after yourself. That way, we're trying to do as much as we can, but I get, somebody runs in, has to use a urinal, they run back out on a mower. They might not clean the urinal itself, but obviously, like I said, just making sure they're at least trying to wash their hands and keeping themselves. But again, these are just policies I want to put in place. And again, I'll go over our staff again and just try to get them to do as much as they can on this list to hopefully help themselves out and help everybody else out. Minimize visits to public places such as stores. We've already kind of been doing this. We have to make, quite a few trips into Ogden, the hardware store, but we've been trying to limit that as much as possible, checking with each other, making sure, hey, do we, asking each other if we need anything. Obviously, if Roger's out working on irrigation and he digs a hole, he's not really going to know what he needs right off the bat. But again, we've been trying to limit our exposure to those places. We've been wearing masks whenever we go in places, especially Menards. They require masks now. Also, Amazon, we've been trying to do as much of ordering as we can online. I understand, we try to buy as much as we can local, but with everything going on, again, sometimes it's just easier and cheaper to purchase some of those items off of Amazon or wherever else. So we have been utilizing that as well. Again, mask wearing, handling money or any other objects handled by the public. Like I said, wearing gloves, sanitizing hands before and after. I'm pretty much the only one that's been handling the money yet until we start getting camping rolling in. Then we'll have other staff helping with that. But again, we'll be wearing gloves, sanitizing, things like that to make sure we're being as safe as possible. Do not share vehicles if at all possible. Again, Katie and Blaine, typically they have their 2 law enforcement vehicles, which don't really get shared a lot. Same with Eric. He's got his maintenance truck. My truck, it's typically me or Roger. So it's not like we have, all of our staff. Most of the seasonals, they're usually staying within the park. So they're not, they're either on mowers or a gator and things like that. But we've also let them know they need to, periodically wipe those things down. And we do have a sanitizing spray or a mist that you spray. It's basically, we have a concentrate that goes in a hand pump. You can spray it on anything, let it dry. It takes about 5-6 minutes to dry. And then essentially it's supposed to be sanitized at that point. So utilizing that type of stuff, minimize sharing of tools. Again, most of that stuff's being done by either Eric or I, or if it's on the golf course, Roger. So we don't have the exposure to a lot of the other, especially our seasonal help and stuff too. And again, as much as we can, minimize the need to inhabit the same space. We've been staggering as far as lunch breaks go. Usually Roger and his golf course aide, they'll usually take a lunch at noon, and then Eric will come in at 12:30, and maybe we've also just been encouraging people, of course, if it's nice out, we've got picnic tables, so just to eat outside and just minimize that unnecessary contact if we can. But again, we understand there's going to be rain days where there may be days where we have to send folks home. We don't need 3 or 4 people hanging around in the shop, exposing themselves to each other, and especially if it's raining, there's not a lot to be done anyway. So that's where we're at with that. Any questions on any of that?
Looks good to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next couple documents I have, notice to the public, that one I put out here last Thursday. I had emailed that to you guys too, just kind of letting people know when the campground's open. On Wednesday, I'll probably update that too and just put a list of our rules on there. And I'll probably post those to our website as well. That way people are aware before they come out, what needs to be done by them and what is going to be done by us as far as trying to keep contact to a minimum and keep safe. So, so yeah, I guess the biggest thing too, I didn't put motion to approve, but we may want to, if you guys accept all of that information, it might not be a bad idea. Just somebody make a motion to adopt these procedures and protocol related to COVID-19 until further notice. And then at some point we'll, get back to normal and hopefully alleviate, or get rid of some of these policies and possibly come up with something new. So.
Okay, I
so
make a
moved.
motion. Okay, we both move.
Okay, you move, I'll second.
Sounds good. I make a
You kind of
motion
get where
that
I'm
we,
coming.
the procedures and protocols for COVID-19.
There we go. Jennifer, you probably can word that however we need to, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Moved
Works
by
for us,
Marilyn,
so.
seconded by Molly. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
All right. Well, thank you all for supporting us and on those decisions. Again, we've basically sent off the same documents to the Board of Supervisors, Stacy Tharp, our HR person, and then County Attorney, Sheriff Ellsbury. They're all aware of what we're doing. Lance Quaker, Emergency Management, and they're all supportive of what we're doing too. So thank you guys for being supportive as well.
You're welcome.
All right.
Wedding venue
That's
adjacent to
all.
White Castle Trail.
Okay, so Marilyn, I did get your email. I figured you were probably aware of this by now. I got an email from Scott Cruz. Actually got a call from him, county engineer, and then Mike Salati from planning and zoning. about a potential wedding venue, which is directly adjacent to the High Trestle Trail, just east of Madrid, just east of the Van Wall equipment shop there, right there east of Madrid. We actually met out at the site. I met with Scott, and then the gentleman, John Barada, I believe is his name, and then his wife or significant other. Anyway, they're the ones that have purchased the property and are looking to develop a wedding venue on this piece of property. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. The first map that I included that I sent along is just a Google map, kind of showing the area outlined in green, and you can kind of compare that to the sketch that I sent a little later on as far as what it looks like. It's a little, I think his version is maybe a little bit backwards as far as which way the trail goes, but kind of give you an idea of what they're looking to do as far as a wedding venue out there at the site. Not a lot there right now. It's basically, it looked like it was hayed at one time, and then there's quite a bit of a wet area. A lot of wet species, silver maple, box elder, it's full of cattails and snake grass, equisetum, stuff like that. But apparently they're going to attempt to build a pond in the one corner of the venue, and then more of a barn structure where they could have weddings, and then parking area, some wedding suites, and then possibly even some cabins for lodging and things like that. So again, when I was first approached by Scott and Mike, they'd kind of explained to me what was going on, some of the issues they had. Of course, the first thing I thought of was being right off the trail is the people, are they wanting to have access to the High Trestle Trail, or like what are they wanting from us? So that was one of the first questions I had for Mr. Brada when I was out there, when we were out there looking at the site. And he kind of explained to me that no, they wanted to separate. They wanted to try to separate as much as they could. They understood the trail was there. It's going to bring, potentially more people in, especially for the wedding venue. But I just made him aware that we don't typically allow access from private property onto public property without an easement. And there is an easement on the trail. It'd be on the other side of 210, just a little bit further east of here, where the public can access the trail from the neighborhood there. So again, I just wanted to let him know that there'd be no, we'd have to create some sort of buffer there, whether it be trees, fencing, some whatever. I told him we would recommend plant species, as far as trees go. What he would want for what he might want to plant there. But again, just kind of letting him know that we're not going to allow public access from the public property onto his private property. And he didn't seem like that was an issue. Next concern obviously is drainage, with it being that wet right there. I asked Scott, have there been issues there before? Have you guys had water over the road, things backing up in that culvert? And he said no, but he said that's something that, if these folks decide to construct a pond and it's putting off more water than it's holding, then it could become an issue. So we talked with them a little bit about that. And initially we were thinking, quite a bit bigger pond than what he had explained. He's talking more along the lines of a 1/4 acre pond, which is, if you look at my map here, that blue kind of oval there, I drew that out, and that's right at 1/4 acre. So that's about the biggest, to the extent of the size of the pond that they want to put in there. I talked with Scott a little bit when we were on site too, and he thought maybe, if anything, a pond of this size would act as more of a detention pool for water. If things do dump upland, it will at least hold some of that water, so you're not getting inundated even further past that. Again, he said there'd have to be some elevation shot and things like that to determine if that would happen. But we did just let the landowner know, there are concerns with drainage in that area, and obviously they would have to, at their expense, address those issues if they were to put in a pond. Other than that, there's a red strip there that I outlined. He was just asking if we could, or he said they'd be more than glad to remove them. There's some trees right there. Basically all it is, it's just some sapling or some volunteer silver maple and box elder. There's nothing in there that's really, I guess, there's no big oaks or no mature oaks or maples or anything like that in there. So I told them I didn't really have an issue with it. I told them I'd run it by you all, but for the, like I said, less desirable species that are in there, if they want to go to the work to help us remove them and replant on their property, I say more power to them. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for that. I did get another email today from Mike Salati from Planning and Zoning. He basically, I just let him know that we were meeting tonight, and then if we had any other concerns, I would pass them on to him. But again, those are some of the concerns we initially had. I think we've got them kind of cleared up. At least let the landowner know that these are the things that are going to have to happen or can't happen if they move forward with this. But again, it's their property. Now it's up to the, I believe, Board of Adjustments to make that decision. So yeah, any questions, comments on that?
I just know that the zoning board had quite a few questions that at the time we were talking to him, Barada, he didn't have many answers for. And so I'm glad to hear that he talked to you and the county engineer concerning some of those things, such as the drainage issue. The other thing I was kind of concerned about was just the traffic on 210 with the bike trail, because that's always been kind of a concern with the traffic and the bike trail, particularly on weekends when the wedding would be. So, we talked about signage or maybe something they're going to have to think about if the traffic would back up and the bike trail would be a problem. So
sure. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I guess I didn't even really think of that, but yeah, if he's going to have weddings, a couple hundred people, then it definitely could be an issue, especially on a busy weekend. Because we do have quite a few of those on the High Trestle Trail, especially if there's an event or something going on. But yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, it's, as far as the drainage goes, I know Scott said, obviously we just don't want this to come back on us if they were to, they would be responsible if something isn't draining like it's supposed to, and just kind of let Mr. Brada know that was the case, and he seemed like he was fine with that. And then again, just the buffer with the High Trestle Trail and not letting access from folks on his property to the trail or vice versa. So yeah, again, I'll probably just tell Mike, unless you guys have any other issues or concerns, just kind of what we talked about here, which they're already kind of aware of, and then I guess let them make that decision. So
is the High Trestle Trail about at the same ground level, or is it built up a little higher than his property?
We're up higher. If you look back kind of where on my map where it says High Trestle Trail with the little push pin, basically from there to, as you keep going to the east, the elevation on their end drops pretty significant, not a ton, but ours stays relatively flat. So I don't think it'd be an issue of water inundating the trail itself. It would just be a matter if that culvert did become plugged. You kind of see my blue line there. It's pretty faint. That's where the culvert goes under the road. Then you could potentially have problems. But Scott looked at the culvert, said everything looked fine, said it was big enough to be able to handle the amount of water that could potentially go through there. So he didn't think there was a huge issue on that end.
Do you have any idea from those sketches where parking is going to be?
It almost looks like his sketch is backwards here.
It is upside down and backwards.
It's both, isn't it?
Yeah, we got a much better layout. I mean, the zoning board did kind of photograph aerial views things, but that was one of the questions we had was about parking, that he needed to kind of get solidified too.
Yeah.
As far as how much and where, and the egress and the ingress, and all that stuff. So
it sounded like the conversation that we had, the parking is actually going to be, if you look at my map, it'll be on the far west side of the property. And then if you just take his map basically and do a mirror image of it, I think that's pretty much, I think, what he's trying to get at. Parking up there, there'd be a barn, or the barn venue would be right there along the road. And that was something that was a little confusing too, because initially where he wanted to build this pond, we're like, well, why wouldn't you build it in the low area, not up clear up on the high, clear up on the west end? And he clarified. He said, no, he said, my map's a little screwy. He said the pond's actually going to go right where that wet area is. And we did mention to that too, as far as the parking goes. If he's going to pave that, obviously you're going to have a lot more water discharging off of that pavement than you would if you had something porous like gravel, or go to the something that obviously isn't gravel or asphalt. And he said, yeah, they were just going to do gravel there. So but yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a terrible idea. Like I said, like I told him, he was just kind of had some general questions about the area, because they're originally from the Carroll Glidden area, and they had the opportunity to purchase this property, and kind of looking, he's like, well, I don't think there's really much around, for this type of venue in the area. And I didn't know if he was aware of Snooze Hill, the winery, or not. I'm not even aware of what they exactly all have out there, but I just told him, I said, biggest thing around here, I said, lodging. People are always looking for, especially with the trail, the visitors we have, aside from camping, there just isn't a ton of lodging in the area. So
yeah,
he said,
yeah, they'd have to head south for lodging, I think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So that was just something I mentioned to him too. I was just like, well, if just a little heads up, if throw a few cabins up, if you can get approved for that, that'd be definitely beneficial to him. Because again, like I said, great idea, but again, I don't know where folks would stay, unless they can stay on site. I really don't know. I don't know, but that's their worry, I guess, to think about. So
There is a different wedding venue going north of town too.
Right. There are quite a few. There's a Chateau. I mean, I drove by the one north of Boone the other day. I felt kind of sorry for him. This thing that happened with the virus is about the worst thing that can happen to wedding venues. And
yeah.
So
that was why I was kind of surprised that I asked him, when are you guys planning on breaking ground? And he said July, and I'm like, oh wow, well, they must
yeah, we've got
must be doing all right, I guess.
Yeah, the setup is beautiful. We actually got pictures of the barn and everything. It's quite elaborate. The other thing I always ask about is like fire and police, or who's going to, that stuff happens at those things, so that's another thing about. And I guess he checked into it, but
okay. Well, yeah, like I said, those were some of the concerns we had. It sounded like they were going to be all right. We just kind of keep in communication. I gave him my number, email. So, if they had any questions, definitely let us know. But as far as our property goes, I don't think we'll have any issues. Biggest thing, like I said, is just trying to make sure there's a separation between his property and the trail. That way we don't have people trying to access, either trying to sneak over there to get involved in a wedding or a party, or, vice versa. So, but that was the first point I made very clear to him, that there needs to be some sort of buffer there, separating the two, delineating the two properties. So yeah, other than that, that's pretty much all I have for that.
Are we ready to move to Alliant Energy?
Yes, I believe so. So, you all probably remember the last issue with Alliant, with the co-op site. This is something different, and I think I proposed this to you guys or brought this to your attention it may have even been the same meeting that all happened, or maybe the meeting prior back in January. But they're going to be doing some utility work, some boring. Everything they're going to be doing is underground, and it's going to be basically from QF Avenue to QM. And I've got the 2 maps I printed off and sent you guys. Like I said, you may already have those, but you can kind of see where they're going to be doing the underground boring from QF to QW. Again, I didn't really see an issue with it. Everything's going to be underground within a 6 foot basically radius, or a 6 foot from, I think he said it's about 3 foot off the trail. And then you'll have 6 foot area where the easement will be intact, and then another 3 feet, I believe. And then you're into like kind of the more wooded area, or the more unmaintained area of that. So I met them out there. So I think that would have been back in January or February, and they kind of showed me what they were going to be doing, and brought it to your guys' attention. Again, I didn't think it'd be an issue as long as they didn't, have equipment directly on the trail, or, were prohibiting people from using the trail. And they said, no, it'll just be a matter of boring QF to QW, and they would just have that easement, in case things, we ever had issues or anything like that. But the purpose behind this is there's a lot of overhead in between those areas. And there's actually the Harrises that live right there, just north or just south of the trail on the west side of the road. They have horses. They've got a fairly big property right there. And they have a power line that comes out of the ground, goes up over their pond, and then back down underground. So they're going to eliminate that. And then there's a number of other overhead lines that they're going to eliminate, and improve the utility there on QF and QW lane. So again, I proposed this idea to you guys here a few months back. They've just recently gotten a hold of me. I think they're kind of back getting things going, getting ready to move on that project. So I've been meeting with a gentleman's name is Bill Geneser. He's a contractor through UL Teague, and working with Alliant on this project. He's from Madrid area. I met him the other day, but basically just pretty cut and dry easement for this property. He hasn't given me the new updated exhibit. He said he would send that to me once he had that. But basically, I was just going to run this by you and see if you guys would grant me the authority to sign this once I do have the document, the exhibit, and I can send that to you guys, send it off to the county attorney and see what they all think of everything. But to my knowledge, everything they have here is pretty cut and dry. So yeah, once I have that, the new document, the new draft of this, I'll probably just forward it to you guys. You guys can let me know, and then we'll probably just go ahead and sign it, and that way they can get to work on this project. Does that work for you all?
Yep.
Yes.
Sounds fine.
Okay, so you may just have to make a motion giving me authority to sign once we have the completed exhibit, and then at least forward it to you guys for your, just to take a look at. And then if everything's fine from there, just grant me authority to sign. So however you want to word that, Jennifer, whoever wants to move.
I'll move to approve to let you do whatever you need to do.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Well, something has been moved and seconded.
Let Jennifer make up something.
I'm saying basically make a motion to give Executive Director Shorman the authority to sign a final version of this document.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right.
I did notice on the signature sheet
Uh-huh.
of the sample they sent of the
Yep.
easement, it says the grantor is the Boone County Conservation Foundation.
I did notice that, and I've got that noted to change to the board rather than the foundation.
Okay.
Yep, I noted it says it there, the first page of the document too. For any consideration, sum of $1, another valuable consideration. The receipt is hereby acknowledged, Boone County Conservation Foundation. But yeah, I'll get a hold of Bill. I told him I'd probably be getting a hold of him tomorrow, and I'll make sure he can get that changed. And then, yeah, once I have the exhibit, I'll forward to you guys. And then, as long as everything looks good, we'll go ahead and get it signed so they can get to work. So,
Sounds good.
all right. And that is all I have on that.
Open discussion.
All right. Just real quick, again, not a lot of programming or event coming up here. Katie and just kind of showing some of the things that they've been doing, throughout this time, as far as little informative clips that they can send out to school kids, or they're just the public in general. So once I have those, I'll go ahead, I'll forward those to you guys as well. Other than that, I did just get a call here towards the end of the day, referring to Dixisel Pond, right there east of Boone, by the Syngenta plant. So a little backstory on that. That ground is owned by the DNR, if you guys all remember, but we manage it. When I started here, it's almost been about a little over 5 years ago. Andy, and when Andy was still here, Hawkinson, we went out there one day. We noticed that the pond, or lake, as some folks call it, the level had risen quite a bit, and we were almost up into, out of the banks and flowing into the ditch. Well, we kind of we watched it for about a year, and it didn't really fluctuate, just kind of stayed about the same. So we were just assuming that there was a neighbor, more than likely to the northwest of there, that had a tile plugged, where everything was, instead of running to the ditch, it was more than likely running into the pond. Again, we never really saw it fluctuate much until last year about this time. We did notice that it took a pretty significant drop, about 3 feet. So again, we kept monitoring it. We talked with the DNR, just kind of let them know, hey, what's going on here. And again, we just chalked it up to basically whoever had the plug tile had gotten it fixed, and now we were back down to normal levels. Well, I just got a call today from Ben Dodd, our district fisheries biologist, and he told me they had actually found a hole in the pond. And I'm a little unsure of what to think about that, because I know it's just an old borrow pit, and typically borrow pits don't usually have an outlet. Maybe you guys may have more knowledge to this than I would, but so I know where they said that they have it located. They gave me the pin, the GPS pin for it. I'm going to go out there tomorrow and check it out. And they were going to have one of their engineers go out there and take a look at it too, just to determine I guess I don't really know what the definition of a hole would be, but yeah, so very interesting. We're going to take a look at that. Hopefully, since it is DNR owned and managed by us, there may be funding available if there is something that needs major engineering or major construction done to repair the hole. But yeah, hopefully by next meeting, I should have more information on that. So
take a big cork with you.
Yeah. Well, they said hole, and I'm like, how is there a hole? And that's all I kept thinking of. How was a bathtub, and how you have your the old bathtubs had a plug that you literally pulled, and that was the only thing I could think of. So
wherever the water be going,
I don't know. The only thing I could think of is the ditch right there on Highway 30, but I've never really seen the water full of ditch or anything, unless it's just slow enough that it's just very gradually coming out. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to go out there tomorrow, and we'll have some more pictures, and I'll send them your guys' way once I get them. So, but other than that, we've got all of our seasonal staff hired. Our last one started today. It's all working out good, getting some stuff done. campground hosts. I believe most are on site. They're getting, since we don't have shower houses and stuff open yet, we did enlist their help to do some more deep cleaning, some painting. The folks who do Robin and Henry and Verity, who do our campground registration, they're in the process of power washing the registration building at Don Williams, and they're going to restain it and stuff too. So that way, like I said, they want to be out there, and they want to, let people know that they're not just they're hanging out. They're actually helping us get some work done too. So very proud of them, very appreciative of them for helping us, especially during this time when, we've been kind of understaffed as it is. But now, like I said, we're back pretty well full staffed. Everybody's got daycare back and stuff. So we're hopefully in store for a uneventful, whatever that means, uneventful summer and a good summer. So
Good.
Sounds good.
okay. Other than that, I think that's all I have for you guys.
Just one question, and I don't know if we qualify, and I'm not a big fan of handouts, but have you looked into that payment protection program?
I actually talked to my personal banker here about a month ago, and he did mention that there may be some money out there available for us. And I told him, I was like, well, we're government. Is that going to make a difference? He said he didn't think it would. He thought, regardless of who you are, as long as, if you can show that, you've been impacted by COVID-19, that there might be some aid out there. So
I think it's open up now, but it's been open for a while. So if we're going to do it, it may be better to do it sooner than later.
Okay. Can you send me any information you might have on that?
You have to go through a banker that is in with the SBA. So like somebody in Boone Bank, or I imagine US Bank has something too.
Sure. I'll check with Vision. That's typically who we do all of our banking through, as far as our golf and cabin and stuff, the money from that. But I'll definitely talk to somebody and find out. Because if it's available.
You do have to go through a banker though.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to find out some more information on that, because it's, I hear what you're saying on handouts, but if it's available, and, like I said, we've, if this would have happened again, we still don't really know what's going to happen, but, luckily it happened when we did. We weren't really in the full swing of our, golf and camping season, but we definitely still have been impacted, especially, with our cabins and rental facilities. So no, I'll do some checking into that and see what I find out.
Well, and I guess if they're handing millions of dollars to the LA Lakers, and I guess we just as well have some.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you there. Mm-hmm. Well, good. Well, sounds good. No, I'll do some checking on that. And then as far as bills go, once I get back to town tomorrow, I'll probably just get a hold of Marilyn and Greg, and then we'll get things signed and be good to go. And then hopefully we can meet in person in June.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to meet Marilyn in town, or do you know yet?
What works best for you, Marilyn?
Do you have my cell phone number? You can just shoot me a text. Just like, I can come anywhere you want me to go. Just let me know, and I'll be there in 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, or I could talk, and it doesn't matter to me. Just let me know, and I'll be there.
Yeah, I'll probably just shoot somewhere in or around Boone. Since I'll have to return the bills back to the courthouse anyway. So that you guys both, whatever works best for you.
You want to meet at the church again?
Yeah, we can do that again.
We could do that, because if they're closed, I got the key for it. So
okay, yeah, we can do that again.
At the church? Which church?
First Methodist Church by the library.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
That works for you, Marilyn?
Yeah, yep, that's fine.
Okay. All right. So when I get back to town and pick up the bills from the courthouse, I'll just either call or text both of you, and then we'll just plan on meeting there. I'm guessing it should be mid-morning, probably.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're good. So you guys want to move to adjourn? We'll be good.
Sure, I'll second.
I think that was Greg and Marilyn.
That's what I'm putting down.
Sounds good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
All right. Well, thanks again, guys, for being so flexible. And yeah, like I said, hopefully next month we'll get to meet in person again. But
Okay, thank
we'll
you.
just take it as it
Bye.
comes. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
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 Bye.